Every single time we see these two sides, fireworks are there. But every single time we see Atleti, has to be said, Atleti getting the better of Barcelona as of late.
Yeah, sixth meeting between these two teams this season, 3 of them coming in the last 10 days, but it's ultimately been Atletico Madrid who won the most important of those games, advancing in the Copa del Rey and the Champions League. But it only took Barcelona 24 minutes yesterday to level the tie. Was that the point where we were starting to think, I think Barcelona are going to be able to do this, Tom?
I can tell you when I thought they were going to do it in the 4th minute. It was as soon as Lamine scored that goal, I thought it was going to happen. And I think most of us kind of felt like, oh, it's coming. Barcelona tweeted, it's coming. But the mindset from Atleti to kind of sit back and breathe and absorb and go ahead and get that goal in the 30th minute changed everything. Yeah. It changed everything. It stopped the flow. It stopped the bleeding. It gave them belief again. But genuinely, in the 4th minute, I was like, oh, this is going to be a bad day for Atleti.
It took him 4 minutes. Tom, how long did it take you to believe?
There was definitely sirens going off there because it was, oh, wow, that was a lot quicker than we thought that one might be. And then when the second goal came in, it's like, oh, my God, it's level. And then you start thinking, like we were all on the show yesterday, and I think a lot of us are backing Atleti. Maybe I don't want to speak for other people, but I felt very confident in Atletico Madrid. And you just feel dumb. It's like, oh, of course that this was going to happen. Oh, it's the 24th minute. Now it's level on aggregate. There's only one winner. It feels an air of inevitability for this Barcelona.
It's like picking against Real Madrid and watching them score, right? It's like, well, why did I do that?
I do think it goes without saying that Atleti scoring a goal at any point was huge. But I think it was particularly important to happen so quickly after the second Barcelona goal because the more that snowballs, it becomes more likely 4-0 Barcelona than 1-2 and good enough for Atleti. So getting it back that quickly and, like you said, Aaron, not being shell-shocked and just completely knocked off your feet on your back was super important for Atleti, and it goes to show the mentality from that manager through that team.
Yeah, I actually had a lot more confidence in Barcelona. I gave the wild score 4-1 in my morning for the Gazeta. Just get it and rip it up right now with the final score. But you look at Atleti's back line. I don't think there's anyone at this desk, anyone at this network. If they are, I want to see them in the studio right now. They would have told me that back line would have held up the way it did. The big player that I thought would be a liability, and he was for about 25 minutes, Clement Lenglet. Yeah. He was shocking.
Oh, my gosh.
He was absolutely shocking, and it just doesn't work. When I see a lineup between him and the likes of Robin Lehnerman, it just doesn't work with them, right? And it just seemed like Barcelona, the way they pressed, the way they harried them, but they also, the way they had control, you could really see some of the dynamics in midfield. Hansi Flick got it absolutely spot on. He made a big gamble. Frankie de Jong, recently coming fit, he put a midfield that I think will be the midfield for Barcelona in the future, ultimately. Gavi, excellent. Pedri, in the midfield, right? Pedri pushing higher up. And then Dani Olmo, who has had good performances against Atleti, being in those half spaces up top with Ferran, and then Fermin on the left-hand side. So the tactical nuances were there, but really it was a disadvantage with a limited Atleti back line that made me think, okay, once that first goal gets in, Barcelona are on the front foot. Yeah. But then goals change games, as we see. And the Ademola Lookman goal, it completely changed the game and can change the tie.
Yeah, but these two sides have met each other 6 times this season. But the most important games were the Copa del Rey to advance and also yesterday. And Atletico Madrid won both of them. What do you think Diego Simeone learnt from that Copa del Rey game and changed yesterday?
I think it was a small tweak that Simeone made. He still sat in a bit. The Atleti were still compact, but they chose their chances to attack. They didn't sit all the way in. They played that kind of more mid-block. Yeah. They sprung the counterattacks. At times they were pressing a little bit higher. And it was a bit of a hybrid that kind of kept Barcelona off guard, and they really, really picked their moments to attack so well and took advantage of that high line that we've talked ad nauseum about with Barcelona. But it was just a really, really well-executed game plan overall.
Yeah, well, look at the differences here, Tom.
Yeah, it's a mid-block versus a low block, and not being naive in their willingness to attack or willingness to throw numbers forward, but doing it in the right moments, because the weakness of this Barcelona team is that space in behind. Yeah. If you're not trying to threaten it, again, whether you're always successful or not, if you're not at least showing them that we're going to throw a counterpunch, they're going to suffocate you, and this game ends 4-0. I think that they learned that in the Copa del Rey. Yes, they had a 4-0 lead, and it ended up working out on the day. But if you let Barcelona attack 80% of the game, they are going to score goals. Yes. It doesn't matter. You could have a 13th person on the field, an extra 2 defenders. They're going to find those spaces and combinations. What you need to do is get them on their back foot at least just a little bit. Have some of those moments of just pure defending and pure scrambling broken up by, all right, we're going to go on the attack. We're going to have you running backwards a little bit. And again, I think he got that balance really well of not being naive and not being silly going forward too much, but doing more of a mid-block and picking your chances. That was the difference.
I want to touch on one player, and I thought Thierry did an excellent job in highlighting him. I want to add to that because we need to give players credit, and it's some of the unsung heroes that make the difference in the Champions League. The one player that we saw in that graphic, right, when they played in the semifinal of the Copa del Rey, the second leg, it's Marcos Llorente played right fullback. In this match, across both legs, he played central midfield. Yeah. And it just gave that midfield a bit of industry, that midfield a bit of engine. And this is what Atleti at their best. This is what Atleti, when they're the most dangerous in the Champions League and in knockout competition, look like, right? Yeah. The heart and soul come from that box of 4. Llorente, Koke, the likes of Antoine Griezmann, Matteo Ruggeri. Excellent. He was an absolute animal, did a job on Lamine Yamal. I know people on YouTube and other places will think differently. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, Atleti get through because they have players, and the players I mentioned, who are willing to suffer for the cost. There's not enough teams in world football that have that intangible. And when you look at the start of the season, going back to Cholo, how significant this was, and I thought our very own Nico Cantor did an excellent job in translating in Champions Club of what Cholo said with Guillem, right? Cholo really gave credit to his team and gave credit to the willingness of this group to run, for the willingness of this group to put in that extra mile. There's a resilience about this Atleti side that we didn't see at the start of the season. And for me, Cholo gets full credit. They're starting to get their groove back. And an Atleti that gets their groove back is a damn dangerous team.
I want to talk about Cholo Simeone's legacy and everything he's done at this club and what he's doing right now, and that they make their little tweaks and reinvent themselves a bit. But this is still a team in his image. He knows what he wants. He knows the brand of football he wants to play. This is a throwback to vintage football. He's been the manager since 2011. You see that so rarely and infrequently to the point where in the future, I don't know if there's going to be more Cholo Simeones. I think football is better for it. It builds narratives. It lets you feel like you know this team. It lets you feel like you're building on something rather than in current football. There are managerial changes every year. Like if somebody gets into a third season, it's almost like, wow, what a long run, what a long spell. Even some of the best managers, they burn quickly. Having Cholo Simeone in charge of this team, look at all of these numbers. All of the games that he's managed, he could have left. He's wanted to say he is one with this club. I think that we're all better off for it when there's more of this and less of, oh, we had a bad 10-game stretch, like let's fire the manager. And I just think what he's done is so increasingly difficult and so increasingly unique in modern football that it's worth being celebrated, as well as these performances now.
Yeah, you're saying that in the NIL era, a 4-year letterman is incredibly valuable.
Let's make sure he doesn't enter the portal.
You think he's been there for 15 years and now they have a chance to win a Copa del Rey and also a Champions League. What about though if Atletico Madrid would be facing Arsenal or Sporting? Who do you think would be favourites in that game?
Right now, the way that Atleti are playing, doesn't matter who they face. I would make Atleti the favorite right now, having beaten Barcelona, the way that they seem to have figured out their midfield balance, their tactical nuance, the way that Diego Simeone is able to adapt his teams, and then the addition of Ademola Lookman. This Atleti team are terrifying. I don't think anyone wants to face them, but I would make them the favorites.
Oh wow, interesting. I wouldn't have expected that, Aaron. I would have thought. I think a lot of people would have said Barcelona would have been the scarier team to face, but
I mean, you're picking who's there, right?
Yeah.
From if Atleti is going against either Arsenal or Sporting right now on form, I do give Atleti the advantage.
Okay, then. Interesting.
Just one little note: Atleti knockout round, knockout tie. They do not get it done, especially when they have the advantage at home. That's going to be a massive, massive difference.
Now, this is what the front pages over in Spain look like after Atletico Madrid's win over an AS Epico. Tom, can you guess what that means?
Epic.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, on to our next one in Marca, Heroico Atleti. You know what that means, Aaron?
Is it heroic?
Heroic Atletico Madrid.
Spanish.
There we go.
Paying off.
The big question I have to ask you guys: at what point, if you're Barcelona and Hansi Flick, do you have to adapt? Because this can't keep up. Or is it just continue the same way and flick a coin and hope it gets through the line?
So we can talk in two directions. One, what do we think he should do? Or what do we think he's going to do? Because the second one is a much shorter conversation. He's not changing it. Before the game, he was asked about the tactics and about the aggressiveness, about the highline, and he said, this is how we play football. This just is what it is. And to an extent, I respect that. It's why he's one of the best managers in the world. It's why he's had so much success. But it's also why they were out of the competition in the semis last year. It's why they're out of the competition right now. It's also why they won La Liga last year and are going to win it again this year. So there are drawbacks. In terms of what he should do, it's easy for us to say, I want to start this conversation, easy for us to say, tweak it, make it different, particularly after the result. There's a mentality side of things that is difficult when you say, this is how we play, we're Barcelona, they adapt to us, we don't adapt to them. Every time we step on the field, this is how we play, and there's a value to that. The drawback of this system, of this tactical decision, particularly the high line and the space in behind, is not that it's going to cost you necessarily. It's that it's high variance. It's easier to control a game that's lower scoring or have repeatable performances. If Barcelona plays Atletico Madrid 10 times, and by the way, they almost did this year because there are so many fixtures between this team. If you play these two legs 10 times, how many do you think Barcelona win? How many times do you think that they win the tie? 7 or 8? 6 or 7, right? 6 or 7, yeah. But those other games, Atleti will have a chance because you're dependent on finishing variance from the other team because you will give up chances. And if you give up chances, there's a possibility they score. But there's also a lot of games where Atleti misses a chance and Barcelona just suffocates them and they win 4-0. And with this tactic, you don't have the complete control. You are relying on some of that variance. So it's less about kind of being suicidal or naive. It's about, yeah, we're mostly going to win. Yeah. But in knockout round competitions, you don't have the 38-game league schedule to make up the ground of the random variances that happen.
Well, like Tom just said, Hansi Flick isn't going to drop it. Yeah. Is it a case then of they need to bring in players who fit this system better?
That's my biggest point, is that Hansi Flick has been incredibly successful playing the way that he plays. He's been successful at FC Bayern. He's been successful with Barcelona. He hasn't won Champions League, but he has won the league title. At FC Bayern, his center back partnership was David Alaba and Jerome Boateng in their prime. That is not what he has at Barcelona. If Barcelona want to be successful, not only do they need to give Hansi Flick the players that he needs to be successful in that way, but they also have to have that depth. Last year, they had Inigo Martinez. When he came off against Inter, they conceded 2 goals.
I still also think, one, even if you achieve that, there will be a moment, like part of this tactic is there are going to be those 50-50 challenges or those last-ditch challenges. Red cards can be random, but there are a whole lot more scenarios in which you could be a world-class center back and get a tackle a little bit wrong or get a step a little bit wrong. So I don't even know if that would be the magic elixir to like guarantee that.
I don't think it's an elixir, but I do think it's a massive step in the right direction because I just don't think their center backs are good enough to say we're going to win a Champions League with these guys.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Gerard Martin, he's done as much as he can, right? He's a young player. That is not the quality of center back that's going to get you and win you a Champions League. Eric Garcia has been their unsung hero, but Eric Garcia has played midfield for much of the season. You're onto something about recruitment. For me, yes, there's been a lot made about Lewandowski's future, Ferran's future, but the most important investment, if Barcelona are serious, if Hansi Flick is serious about winning a Champions League next season, the most important investment is you have to get an experience, dependable central defender.
100%.
They are that for me. That is the one piece they are missing to get over that line. A defender, much like the impact that we saw in Inigo Martinez, and I broke this down with Charlie. Leadership is such an intangible that decides Champions League ties. And for that entire backline, we saw the best Pau Cubarsí last season. We haven't seen a good Pau Cubarsí consistently this season, right? And Inigo Martinez, that leadership intangible is massive. One player I'm on the flag, and he's been linked with Barcelona. Keep an eye on if Tottenham Hotspur go down and get relegated. Mickey van de Ven.
I would agree.
Mickey van de Ven was made to play for Hansi Flick in this Barcelona backline. I know we got Tottenham Hotspur fans at this network, Spurs fans everywhere. It just seems it's written in the stars. Should Tottenham go down, Mickey van der Ven to Barcelona. That should be Hansi
Romero
Flick.
would also be
Even if they don't go down, by the way. Even if they don't go down.
And Joan Laporta. Hansi Flick, and I want to address something that I think was said yesterday, and I know the emotional impact and the emotional fallout of the Champions League, right? People want to challenge the highline. You can do that. But I think it's overreacting to think that Hansi Flick should get his job on the line.
Is anybody saying that?
I think that's ridiculous.
Think.
That's the emotional reaction of it, right? The big thing for me is Hansi Flick. He has done miracles with this Barcelona side. You think of where they were, even with Xabi. You think of where they were with Setien coming in. They were in free fall. And a Barcelona club that had financial restrictions, what he's done with the academy graduates, give him his credit with the trophy he's won. But now it's on Joan Laporta to support his manager. If you want Hansi there, you have to invest in the summer window.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.